Nigeria's House of Representatives has asked the federal government to extend the deadline for the provision of the national identification number by telecommunications service subscribers to 10 weeks. Government initially said 2 through the NCC. Now, the House at the plenary on Wednesday described the 2 weeks given to SIM card users by the NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, to provide their NIN to service providers as grossly inadequate. Minority Leader Ndude Elumu had moved a motion to urgent public importance to demand more time. Adopting the motion, the House resolved that the exercise should end on January the 28th of 2021 as against December 30th of 2020.
The House is concerned that as laudable as the idea behind the policy may seem, the timing is very wrong because Nigerians have not been properly sensitized, as only a few educated persons who bother to read the dailies might have heard about these instructions. Therefore, trying to enforce this policy in a period where most Nigerians are gearing up for Christmas festivities may lead to stampede in the process of rushing to get registered, which could lead to unnecessary death and injuries.
Every Nigerian, particularly this House, will support the motion for an extension of the 2-week lag for the registration of SIM card. But this is an opportunity for Nigerians to know the rationale behind this lofty policy. The minority leader has taken us back to memory lane the effort of this noble House in ensuring that the service provider safeguard Nigeria and also improve the security of Nigeria as a nation.
All right, how much does it cost to convert your petrol-guzzling vehicle to CNG? There was a bit of a messaging hiccup when it came to the cost of converting. It's based on the federal government's messaging. Initially, back on December 2nd, Justice Derefaka, technical advisor on gas business and policy implementation to the Minister of State for Petroleum, said it was going to cost $250,000. He then reversed himself and said it would be free. The government initially said it would be free before he said it was $250,000. Then they went back and said it was going to be free. So exactly how much does it cost? Now, we've got a player in the sector here joining us from our Abuja studio to discuss this, Mr. Kenechukwu Nnamani, CEO of NaijaGas, liquefied petroleum gas supplier in Nigeria. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. To start off,
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. So what do you make of the federal government's initiative to convert use of fuel-powered cars and generators to compressed natural gas?
I think it's an initiative that is long overdue. It's better late than never, because in the first place, this whole situation is being practiced in different countries for many years already. So I think we're even late at the moment, but it's a welcome initiative regardless.
All right, and so to expand on that, the government has been talking about lots of benefits. Or can you speak on any of the benefits Nigerians are going to get from this conversion?
The benefits are very versatile. There are lots of benefits. For example, the particulates which is found in air pollution that penetrates the lungs will be cut short by almost 100%. And the CO2, which is found in greenhouse gas, is also reduced by about 35% or so. So that's a very big advantage.
Okay, and so now you're speaking, I guess the advantages you're talking about are more environmental, yeah, with respect to, you just talked about CO2 emissions, so environmental benefits. What about cost benefits for the average Nigerian?
It's cheaper. It's way more cheaper than running on gasoline, diesel, AG or whatever. But I think CNG is a movement that needs to be appreciated by a lot of Nigerians because it's cost effective. You're going to spend even less, about 50% even lower than what you're spending currently.
Okay, so if we can, since we're talking about costs now, there was some, I guess, controversy regarding the costs. We're made to understand it was free. Then we heard that it was going to cost about 250,000 naira. Then we heard it was free again. So what's the cost factor to the actual conversion, if you can help us with that?
To be honest, CNG and car conversion is something I'm very passionate about, and it's something my company has been working for a very long time. And I know 100% that it's almost impossible for the government to make it free of charge for everybody. the cost of getting CNG tanks, CNG kits, the injectors, the reducers, and all those things is going to cost nothing less than 169 to 170,000 naira direct from the factories. Before you talk about shipping down to Nigeria, and before you talk about the cost of labor for doing those conversions. So I think 250,000 naira, even if that's what the government wants to charge for this conversion, is not ridiculous. But making it free for Nigerians, I doubt. I think that's a lie. It's impossible. Because at the end of the day, the government will pay. And if the government is paying for it, that means the people are still paying regardless. Okay,
so see, this is why we had you on. So let's leave it at 170,000. I'm not sure if you've included the labor cost, but just coming out of the factory. So the government said that they want to, go ahead.
Just the items for conversion.
So that's exclusive of the labor of installing it and all the other stuff, right?
Yeah, and exclusive of importation of these kits. The importation cost, the duty fee and all that.
Fine. So even if we do 170,000, the government's plan was to convert 1 million cars here in Nigeria by the end of 2021. So 1 million times 170,000, that's 170 billion alone for just those 100 and those 1 million cars. So that's the established cost if we're looking at it from that perspective.
To be honest, it's possible for the government to make the conversion within 1 year. It's extremely possible because, for example, at the moment I have technical partners in Italy I'm working with to carry out my conversion center in Abuja here. And what we decided that we are going to be converting about 100 to 150 cars every month, which is very, very doable. And that is putting the conversion in different stages from drawing to the conversion to the testing phase and so on and so forth. This is not going to be done by one person. And to make it extremely possible, the government needs to have a training on board. This is not something that one particular conversion center is going to do. They have to make sure that different parts of the country has a designated conversion center which can take the capacity of 200 cars to 300 cars per week or something like that in a particular state. That is the only way they can achieve that. But I see it very, very doable.
Okay, we're getting very specific here. Thank you for this. So you're saying your conversion center, you can do 100 to 150 a month. If we say 100 in a year, that's just 1,000. That's 1,200 in a 12-month span. So to scale that to 1 million vehicles in a 12-month period, you would have to have, times 36 states, you would have to have at least what? 5, 10 or more, I'm saying 10, or 10, 20 or more conversion centers in each state. What kind of numbers are we looking at across the country to get to that 1 million?
To be honest, I think it's already too late for them to achieve that. Because they need to put on ground some sort of training in different states. If you don't have the workforce to carry out the conversion, that is the only thing I see that is going to make it difficult. But if they can carry out a workforce or a training for a workforce that can carry out the conversion, it's going to make it very easy. Setting up a conversion center is not expensive. The equipments needed are not expensive. The government has the power to get the equipments, they have the locations, they have the lands. But the most important thing is the people who are going to do the conversions, they need to make sure they have technical partners that are going to keep training people every single day in different states of Nigeria to be able to achieve that 1 million vehicles in 12 months.
Okay, so you mentioned the importation aspect of this. I think you mentioned having partners in Italy or so. What would it take to be able to stop importing and be able to domesticate the entire value chain here? Because, I mean, we've got a number of gas reserves. Just yesterday, we were talking about China facilitating a new loan for a pipeline. Nigeria has a gas project. So what would it take to domesticate the entire process here?
I think we still need technical partners to do that because we are not wired and organized in such a way that we can carry out the full value chain over here in Nigeria. the kits needed for these conversions. Currently, I'm discussing with partners in China for importation of these kits. And kits for example, 4-cylinder kit is going to cost about $65 each, and 6 to 8 liter 8 cylinders kit is going to cost about $85 each. Now, these kits, the labor in China is lower, and it's easier for us to import from there. But if we have to manufacture those kits here in Nigeria, it will cost a lot more because we need to bring in technical partners that are going to do that, which is going to increase the cost. So I think at the moment, what our movement and our motion is for is to increase the use of CNG in Nigeria. Let us first of all see how we can improve the consumption. Then moving forward, we can think about how we can domesticate the production of these kits and the CNG tanks that we need for these conversions.
In that case, if the 2021 timeline for 1 million cars, and thank you for breaking this all down for us, if that's not realistic, then what time frame would you put? When you factor in everything you've just told us, from the technical partners, the knowledge transfer, the value chain importation, the need for centers across the country, and the capacity at which they can do this, what's a more realistic timeline? Is it 2022, 2023, 2024? What do you think?
I'm thinking 2023 is more realistic somehow, especially if the government tries to put in experts on board and not make it all about government. You need to bring in the private sector into it to make it actually possible. And the fact that they need to make sure there's a whole lot of training going on, if possible, free training of people willing to learn the skill of car conversion. So setting up some sort of academy in every single state in Nigeria within the space of 3 months is very, very doable if you have the proper team. And this is going to make it very achievable by 2023, making sure that every single state can convert a whole lot number of cars from petrol to CNG.
Okay, so you're in Abuja. You're a player in the sector. Have you tried engaging the federal government in any of these initiatives you're talking about, from training, sponsoring training, to what would you take to get this through? What's that been like? Have you had any success in doing that?
I've not really tried to make any effort to communicate with the government in this regard. A lot of things get frustrated when you want to depend on some sort of government agency or other companies. I try as much as possible to privately invest into this sector and get my technical partners. If I'm going to do my trainings, I'm going to do my trainings to the technical partners. Then we can showcase to the government what is doable and what we've achieved as a private entity.
Fantastic stuff. All right, very interesting conversation, Mr. Kenechukwu Nnamani, CEO of NaijaGas. We'll have to see what happens between now and 2021. I have to have you back to have a conversation about this. Thank you so much for your expertise and your insights on this matter.